In truth, Mrs. Stanley wasn't all that much older than the students who crowded around her. Unlike the students, most of whom wore very nice, well-maintained clothing, Mrs. Stanley took that to a different level. She wore a business suit with a skirt that nearly swept the floor. It was a professional, stunning look in dark gray, which set her eyes off perfectly. Naomi watched her as she moved around the room. Most of the instructors here had some sense of style, and some of the students wore the latest fashions from all over the world. But Mrs. Stanley had class. Naomi envied her and made mental notes, choosing to emulate her when classes ended. "Naomi, your turn." Despondence. Naomi struggled to say the word. It did help, at least a little, to force at least this much out. She started to breathe again. "All right, good title, go ahead." Slowly, slowly, Naomi read from the screen, trying to remember to speak loudly enough to be heard and wishing she didn't have to. Slowly, slowly. I jumped at him, thinking it's the solution to all. But unknown to me, today it is, yesterday worse, but tomorrow's doubt will forever be. Very close to the end, when would it be? When will I? When would you? When are we? So weak I feel. So less of a woman I feel. So less of myself I feel. They say only the sovereign deity's decisions control the major that encompasses existence, but why would this be the result in my case? I now see that that is just a way of being able to live with what we can't change, or could it be we could change? Accepting these fresh stale styles, even this working holiday. Everything is a watch for everything seems to be tame. What prompts such futile aim? It all appears as if I'm being choked by all. She paused a moment to brush a few drops of water off of the screen. She hadn't realized she was crying. It's like I'm now in the fustily fussy, not funny era of lack of self-will. I'm in so deep, still I can't feel the deep end. I'm thinking about giving it all up. Then, unexpectedly and calmly, I hear a whisper. "I won't be asleep. I won't be." She dared look up from the iPad and looked at Temmie first, for her reaction. Temmie's face was lined with rivulets of tears streaming down her cheeks and into her smile. The way she was looking at her should have given away their love for each other to any who saw, but at the moment, Naomi didn't care. At that moment, she felt the love between them as never before. She turned her head before she gave too much away, but Mrs. Stanley was daubing at her eyes too, bright with tears waiting to fall with the others. The class and the others simply watched her for a long moment. Several sniffles and a single choked-off sob broke the silence. Then Mrs. Stanley began to clap, and the rest picked up the applause until the room echoed with it. They seemed to vent the passion and tears in her accolades, and Naomi sat back, pleased, but shrinking into herself from the vulnerability.